St Ava class, welcome to our Wednesday video. So last time I asked you to make a prediction to see what Dougal found deep down in the ocean when he went diving in his new submarine. And I've had some great predictions off some of you, and some of you have got it right, which is brilliant because it means you really listened to the clues that were in the story as we went along. So, should we see what he found? So where we left it was that he could not believe his eyes. It was real. And what did he find? He found Atlantis. And I'm just going to hold that up so you can see how much is going on in that beautiful picture. You see his submarine going through the streets. There's fishes, there's people, there's buildings. Saturday, 9 AM. Atlantis was wonderful. Just like home, but with a few small differences. As well as mermaids, there were mermen everywhere. Don't often see mermen on TV. Everyone wanted me to stay, if only. 12:58 PM. Bought a souvenir t-shirt and mug and sent a postcard to my cousin Bob. 7:30. Had dinner with Neptune. I forgot my fork, but he had a spare. He was a nice chap, but needed a haircut. I had a great time. I couldn't stay. Could I? Sunday, 9 AM. Felt very glum. Time to leave. 9:01. King Neptune arrived. Stay, he said. I couldn't. 9:02. The mer people swam to me. You don't have to go, they said. But I did. How could I earn a living in Atlantis? The next day was Monday morning. Surely I had to go back to work. Didn't I? What do you think? Monday morning. Is he back on that train? Monday. Who's missing? Diving for pearls. So in the end, Dougal stayed. He gave up his job, having to commute on that train every morning, and he stayed in Atlantis with all the mer people. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that story. That is one of my favourites for this topic. And well done for your predictions. And even if you didn't get the prediction right, you still had a go at predicting, which is really good. And it's quite a tricky thing to do. So well done. And thank you for some of your pictures as well. Some of you drew Atlantis and they were brilliant. So what I want to do with you today is look at what else lives under the sea. But instead of in the ocean, which we've already looked at, and some of you have done some fantastic fact finding already, I want us to look at what lives in rock pools. Okay, so rock pools you can find at lots and lots of beaches across this country. Anytime you go to a beach and you see there's a really rocky area, you will find rock pools, and they're really fun to investigate. So let's have a look at what rock pools are and what lives in them. So rock pools can be life can be very harsh in rock pools for animals. They get battered by the waves and the wind on stormy days, and the water found in rock pools can be very salty. However, many animals are well adapted to live in these conditions. So let's have a look at which ones we've got. First one, some of you may have seen one of these, is a shrimp. Now, shrimps are very clever because they can change colour depending on their surroundings. So if a shrimp was to hide under a rock or amongst some seaweed, its body would change colour so you couldn't see them. They would camouflage into the background. They have strong claws to help them catch their prey. And they are omnivores. Who can tell me what an omnivore eats? Have a think. Do you know? Well done. Omnivores eat meat and plants. So they eat both. So our first animal is a shrimp. Our next living thing in rock pools, and I'm sure if you've been to the beach, you'll have all seen this, is seaweed. Now, seaweed isn't an animal, but it is a living thing because it feeds. So, seaweed, you get lots of beaches, and it's a plant. It clings to the rocks using a special part of its body called a holdfast. And it makes its own food from the energy of the sun. So like plants we have in our garden, it feeds off the sun. So another living thing in rock pools is seaweed. Next one, some of you may have seen these before, some of you may have even eaten these before. And our next one is mussels. So mussels are related to snails, which means they're in the same family group as snails. And like snails, they also have shells, but they have two sides to their shells, which close together. They cling to rocks in large groups, and mussels are carnivores. What do carnivores eat? Well done. Carnivores eat meat only, so they only eat other animals. And so that's our next living thing in our rock pools, are mussels. Our next one is one of my favourites, and if you've been lucky enough to see one of these, you'll know just how pretty they are. Our next one is a starfish. So starfish are very clever because underneath their body they have lots of little suckers, and these suckers allow them to cling onto the rocks around them, and it also allows them to hold on to their prey. Starfish are also carnivores, which means they only eat, that's right, they only eat meat. And they're another one of our rock pool animals. You may have been lucky enough to find one at the beach. Another living thing in our rock pool is barnacles. Now again, barnacles are good to hunt for and find when you're at the beach, and if you look really carefully around the rocks you may find them. So barnacles are related to crabs, which means they're in the same family as crabs, and like crabs they have a hard shell round them to protect them. They also attach to rocks with a sort of cement to fix them there, and you find them on rocks or bottom of ships. And barnacles are omnivores, so they eat meats and plants. So that's our next living thing. Now our next one is a fish with a very funny name, and this one is called gobby. Okay, and gobby fish live in rock pools and they hide amongst all the seaweed. So if you look at the colour of their skin, it's very light, and that allows them to hide amongst all that seaweed and stay safe. Gobbies are carnivores, so they only eat meat and they eat other smaller animals. So that's our gobby fish. Now our next one, I always have struggle pronouncing this. I usually ask Mrs. Smith for help, but she's not here to help me today. So these are anemones. Now they don't look like animals, do they? They just look like a plant. But anemones are very clever, and if you've ever seen the film Finding Nemo, you'll have seen an anemone because Nemo and his dad live inside of one. So anemones catch their prey, so fish and shrimp, using these tentacles. And what these tentacles do is they sting their prey, so it allows them to catch them before eating them. Okay, so they're very clever and they're amazing to watch. And our last animal in our rock pool is a crab. And a lot of you may have seen crabs at the beach. So crabs have a hard shell and two big sharp claws to help pinch their prey. They live under rocks and stones, so that's where they hide. They use their claws to catch their prey, and they are also omnivores, so they eat meat and plants. Okay, and that's our last rock pool animal. So we've had crabs, anemones, gobby fish, barnacles, starfish, mussels, trying to remember them all, seaweed and shrimps. So what I wanted you to do today is, with the information we've learnt, with the animals we've seen, I want you to create your own rock pool animal. And the way I'd like you to do this is you can use the animals we've learnt about today and take parts of them to create a brand new one that we've never seen before. So first thing to do is have a think what you want your animal to do. Think about what the ones we've seen can do. Some of them can camouflage, so do you want your animal to be able to camouflage? If so, you might want to peek the body of a shrimp or a gobby. Do you want your animal to be able to suction onto rocks? In which case you might want part of a starfish or a barnacle. Do you want it to have sharp pincers like a crab? So you may want a crab's arms. Or do you want it to have a shell to protect itself? So you may want a crab's body. So have a think what you would like your animal to be and what you'd like it to be able to do. And then you can either, I will put the pictures we've used today on our tile, so you can either use those, cut bits up and put them together to make an animal, or you can just draw your animal, which is just as good. So I had a go at making one, and I decided I wanted to use the body of a starfish so it could suction onto rocks. I wanted it to have claws like a crab so it could pinch things. And I decided I was going to use an anemone for its hair. Okay, so this is my rock pool animal. Okay, so I took parts of different animals and put them together. And this is my one. So he can pinch, he can suction onto rocks, and he's got hair that can catch his prey as well. And once you've made your animal, what I'd like you to do is name it. And the best way to name it is to think about the animals you've used to make it and try and kind of put them together to create a name. So looking at mine, I've got a starfish, a crab, and an anemone. So I could call it Aneno star crab, Aneno fish crab. Have a think, have a play around, name your animal. So that's job one if you'd like to do it. If you create an animal and you want to send me a picture, please do send it to our email address, stava@stjohnshorsham.school. Send me your creations. We had some brilliant ones last year, so I can't wait to see what you get up to this year and what amazing animals you create. Once you have created one, if you'd like to, you can also make a top trump card. So some of you may have top trump cards at home. Some of you may have seen them before, but a top trump card gives you a place to show your animal and what they can do. So I've put together just a very, very quick template for you to look at now. So you can draw your own template, or I will put one on our tile if you'd like to print one out and use that. But I've just drawn this up really quickly to show you the idea. So top trump cards. In the top box, you put a picture of your creation, your animal. And then in this box, you will want to just write about your animal, what it is, write a description. And then you do your top trump statistics, really. So you tell us your animal's name, how big are they going to be, their habitat, so where do they live, and what it eats. Is it omnivore, herbivore, carnivore? What's your animal going to eat? So if you'd like to, your tasks today are create your own rock pool animal and then create a top trump card for it. Okay, so have fun. I really look forward to seeing what you create. Send me pictures. I can't wait to see them. And I will see you next week.